welcome. Today we are on day 25. I can't believe we are on the home stretch. We are on the home stretch. So today's video is all about uncovering childhood patterns that might be keeping you stuck. And I'm going to be sharing some different exercises and questions to reflect on that are going to help you uncover, just what might be limiting you or keeping you in patterns that you do not want to be in. I know for me personally, this has been a massive part of my journey in uncovering, catching these things that I was thinking or doing at one point, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is not something I want to continue with, or I don't want to be that way forever. And so this video is going to be all about how to uncover and break free from those things. So as you are hopping on, drop some hearts down below. If you're catching the replay, comment replay, let me know that you're here, and let's dive in. So with this whole, uncovering things from childhood, the way that our brain works is that our subconscious mind continues to rule anywhere up to 95% of our mind and of our life. And our subconscious is formed up until the age of about 7 or 8. So the best thing I look at is until I become aware and become more conscious of what my patterns are, my habits, my immediate beliefs, right? Until I practice awareness with that, I'm literally letting my 7-year-old self run my life, and that's not good. Hearts, yay, welcome, glad you're here. So I personally, I love my 7-year-old self. She was pretty cool, she was fun, but I don't really trust her with making decisions in my life. I don't really trust her as being the catalyst or the marker of who it is I want to be. And so what we're going to look at today is really seeing what are some of the experiences. So this will be task 1. What are some of the experiences that happened in your childhood, or things you saw and learned and observed from your parents growing up that you continue to embody or that you continue to believe? So this could look like, for instance, up until about 5 years ago, I believed that business had to be super hard and challenging. And I believed that, I had very limited beliefs around women who went to work because I grew up with my mom who stayed at home with my brother and I. So I had perceptions around a woman's ability to work or to really make a difference and earn for herself, right? The perceptions, the things I heard from my mom, the limitations, right, that I observed were very ingrained in my subconscious mind. Another example was up until, probably same thing, 5 or 6 years ago, things about traveling and doing things on your own, and it's not safe out there to do that on your own as a woman because of the experiences, the programming, the beliefs, the things that I learned when I was younger. And so these are just 2 examples, but we can also throw in, relationships. And our personal relationships as we get older are very reflective of what we learned from our parents. So what I'm inviting you to do with task 1 here is to kind of really look at your parents or your caregivers and the things that they really believe strongly or stood firm in and maybe talked about quite a bit to you, and look at is this a belief that I'm still carrying to this day? Because what happens, it's so crazy, is we end up just believing every single thing we learned from our parents, usually, unless we start doing this work. And so you'll see it so many times, I see it all the time with people who come to me and they're living out the same patterns that their parents did. And there's nothing wrong with that if they're happy with it, But a lot of times they're not actually happy because they're feeling really limited. They're feeling really constricted and in a box versus like being able to fully be themselves. So this is something from your childhood that might still be keeping you stuck, is like this belief in what you were taught is like the right way to live. I've had quite a few clients who started working with me, and they always were kind of promoted and taught of like, you know, you go, you get the degree, you get the house with the white picket fence, you get married, and then you're going to be happy. And like, you just live there forever. And they did all those things, but they still didn't feel happy. And so they were like, wait, you know, what's going on, right? Like I checked all the boxes. I did everything I thought I was supposed to. And so this is a really, really powerful way to look at, okay, like what was the programming and the belief that you thought you needed to have based on expectations while you were growing up and things you saw on TV with the perfect white picket fence, or things you heard from teachers about like you need to go to school and get a college degree if you want to be somebody. That was a huge part of my programming, actually. I could think of so many times in school where it was all about like, you know, oh, the smart people get a college degree or university degree, and like if you don't have that, you're a troublemaker, right? And teachers would segregate kids into like smart and successful, or like trouble and, you know, avoid these people, right? They're not going to go anywhere. And so often they would create these labels of like education based on that. And so when I dropped out of university to travel the world and like just do my own thing and really start studying holistically and different natural things, like there was a part of me, part of my like younger self, part of my subconscious programming was going like, oh, but you're not smart, or you're not enough, or you're never going to be successful because you don't have this paper, this degree that people have programmed you to believe is so important, right? And this isn't about bashing degrees, this isn't about bashing white picket fences and living happily ever after, but it's about realizing like, where is the programming keeping you stuck? As long as you're feeling fulfilled and happy with what you're doing, that's what's most important, because then you're living in alignment with your heart. So for me personally, trying to push through university just to say that I did it was not making me happy, and it was, if anything, causing me more problems and mental health issues, that I was just like, this isn't worth it. It doesn't feel aligned and good. My heart and soul was calling for something different. So had I continued to stay there, I would have had a lot more problems. And fortunately, I really did like just take the leap and chase after what felt best for me. And that's what I've continued to do, and how I've ended up where I am is following that impulse. So long ramble, but task 1 is going to help you really uncover, are there specific things, beliefs, programs, patterns that you are living out right now that you can directly see, oh my gosh, that's from my dad, or oh my gosh, that's from my mom, or oh wow, my mom always said that, like now I'm saying it too. And sometimes it's like, yikes, because you're like, I don't really want to follow that path. And so task 1 is becoming aware of it, as I talk about all the time in all of my videos. Awareness is key. Again, if you want further help on this, comment mindset down below and check out the mindset training that I have, where I go into like the full reprogramming 3-step process to shift and like break free from that, so that you're no longer living your mom's life or your dad's life, and you're living your own life. But that also leads into step 2, which is then, okay, like what kind of connects back to yesterday, actually, of the purpose, and like, what is it that you are here to do? So you can realize, oh wow, that's actually like something my mom would have said, or that's something my dad would have said. And then having that conscious awareness of, is this actually a pattern that I want to continue living, or is this something I want to walk away from and step in a new path and create, recreate, rebuild, constantly shifting and growing ourselves, right? And so with that in mind, it's like realizing that you have the power in any moment to change who you are. And I did a video on this yesterday inside a different group where I mentioned, like, right now, in this very moment, you could choose something different. It doesn't mean it's all going to magically just change in an instant and that you'll never fall back. But the more you keep choosing, the easier it becomes. And so instead of waiting until like tomorrow or waiting until next week or saying like, oh, well, you know, it's all right, it'll be fine. Like, no, choose right now what you want to give your power to and who it is you want to be. And if stuff from your past is holding you back or constantly resurfacing and you know, like causing problems, then you have the opportunity right now to choose to make a change, to choose something different. And I think so often people feel like they're stuck there. I know for myself, I used to be like, oh my gosh, this is just me. I'm destined for this. For example, with my anxiety, I was like, I'm just destined to be an anxious person. And I believed that. And I remember at like 13 or 12 or 13 years old, I remember just being like, oh my God, like crying in the school bathroom, being like, is this how it's going to be forever? Because I was so anxious and so overwhelmed about everything and the thoughts in my head. And I was just like devastated of like, please don't let this be forever. Now, at that time, I didn't have the awareness that I have now. I didn't have the understanding that it doesn't have to be forever. I made the choice as I got older of like, I will choose a different path. I will choose to find the answers. I will choose to invest in mentorship. I will choose to try anything and everything I possibly can, because I believe there has to be a different way. There has to be a different way than what my parents have taught me. There has to be a different way than what society has taught me. There has to be a different way than just the anxiety or being consumed in my struggle or in my negative mindset, right? And it was in me choosing that every single day, committing and being like, I will not stay here in this struggle. It feels so uncomfortable. I'm going to just keep choosing and trying. And if it doesn't work, you know, I'll cry about it. But I've checked one thing off that I've tried, and then now I know, okay, well, that didn't actually help. So what's next on the list? And then that is what allowed me to continue to uncover, to shift, to break out of the programming, out of the stuff that I thought was destined to be me forever. And that's the point, because what you believe to be true about yourself is very limited because of how the subconscious mind works and how it holds on to things and teaches us. So I don't know if I actually have a task 2 for today. I think it's just like, yeah, task 2 can just be like making a declaration, which I've done on some of the other days, is like making a declaration of who it is you're choosing to become. So instead of like, oh, this is who I am, or like, oh, this pattern is just me, or like, this is just my programming, or like, yeah, it's how my parents were, so it's how I am too. Like, no. You know, we have the power to choose something different. And so make a declaration to yourself of like, I am choosing to be this. I'm choosing to no longer have this. I'm choosing to, you know, rise up from this. Whatever it is that you want to choose that is separate from the old programming or separate from the patterning. So in your task 1, when you're uncovering, like, what are the things that you see you're playing out that your parents did, then it's like, maybe task 2 is really declaring, claiming, acknowledging, like, this is not who I am anymore. And setting a clear idea for yourself of like who it is you want to be. So I know for myself that made all the difference. And through the continued awareness, I still catch myself, you know, reverting back to old ways, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's totally my mom. Or like, oh wow, that's from my dad. And I'll be like, ooh, you know, but then I'm like, okay, cool, I see it, and do I want to continue to choose that path? And I look at I look at different examples. I love my parents, and I look at different examples of the way their lives turned out, and I'm like, I don't want the same life that they had. I want something very different. So when I catch myself in a pattern or a belief or programming that I can see is from one of them, I work on that separation, and I work on that becoming the observer, looking at it from a farther lens and going, yeah, I don't really think I want to have that same outcome that they did, or I don't really want things to play out that way. So, how can I learn from them without becoming them almost? And that is the purpose, I think, is all of us, we're constantly learning, evolving, and growing. And we have the opportunity, because of technology, because of the shifts in consciousness, because of the tools that are out there now, we have the ability to become like next level, and like next level versions of our parents, and really heal and transmute and do beautiful things. And we, oh my gosh, that's gave me like, I'm so used to peace and quiet that I don't know if you could hear the doorbell, but that just gave me like a shock of anxiety. I will end this video here, but because I don't know who's out there, but we have the power to become new versions of ourselves. So we don't have to follow the patterns or the programming that was placed before us. So I invite you to declare, to claim, to tap into your power, who it is you want to be. And yeah, again, if you want further help with this, check out the mindset training down below with the exact 3-step process that I have used in depth for my own reprogramming of this little noggin in here to help me get to where I am today. And I will see you tomorrow for the next video. Oh, actually, maybe not tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm traveling. So I will see. I think I'll be back on the weekend. So I will see you in a few days. Bye now.